An unbroken 8th wicket partnership of 82 along with 50s from Jason Roy, Hashim Amla and Vikram Solanki just about gave Surrey the edge on the opening day of their LV County Championship match with bottom club Leicestershire at the Kia Oval. Gary Wilson batted after winning the toss and looked to Zafar Ansari to continue his excellent recent form with the bat. He quickly lost his opening partner Rory Burns with the score on 21, the batsman missing out when a fine leg glance off Nathan Buck was too fine and landed in the gloves of Niall O'Brien. That brought in Amla for his final game in his short stint for Surrey as a replacement for Graham Smith. The new South African Test captain will soon be heading south to be replaced by Tilakaratne Dilshan. Amla hasn't been at his best so far, but he reeled off some gorgeous shots on a gorgeous day in South London on a pitch which offered one very short boundary. Amla was soon dominating the scoring, with Ansari making just 9 of the 62 runs on the board after 17 overs. Amla meanwhile had raced to 39 off only 30 deliveries. Ansari had made 3 50s and 100 in his last 4 innings, so Leicestershire would have been thrilled to see the back of him before he made it into double figures. Surrey are a side which is beginning to find its feet after a sluggish start to this summer. There is no coincidence that their form has improved since Solanki started playing again. Leicestershire must have been fearing the worst as he got his innings moving with a couple of clashy shots off Jigger Naik. Amla's first 50 of the Championship summer in his 4th innings arrived off only 45 deliveries. He clearly wanted to sign off with a big score and he'd made the ideal start, his innings thus far containing 7 boundaries. He looked well set to get many more. He went to the lunch break on 56, made out of his side's 106 for 2, in which Solanki had also eased his way to 26, against a Leicestershire side which sits at the foot of the LV County Championship table, and one which has not won a 4-day game for 24 matches. To their credit on this day, they never let their heads drop, even when Amla continued to play freely after the break. Everything looked set for him to make a big score and for Surrey to score heavily again, as they had done in Bristol a couple of weeks ago. They came into this contest on the back of a comfortable 10-wicket win over Derbyshire. So it came as something of a surprise when Amla played this ball from Rob Taylor back onto his stumps. The South African left having made 71 from 77 balls with a total on 125 for 3. Taylor bowled an impressive spell in which he also saw the back of Stephen Davis for a couple, Naik with a solid catch in the slips. Solanki remained, however, and continued to play some shots, especially the drive, one of which got the visiting team a little excited as it just evaded a fielder in the covers. Leicestershire were having their best moments of the day at this stage. That was until Roy started to play some shots after quickly getting his eye in. He's been in excellent touch recently in both the T20 and in this competition, where he struck an extraordinary 55-ball 100 just a couple of weeks back. He's often criticised for his shot selection, but here no one can argue that he was choosing the right balls to hit, and hit them he certainly was doing as he started to race through the numbers again, quickly catching up and then overtaking Solanki, who moved past 18,000 first-class runs in this knock. This little flick over the top brought Roy a 6 as he closed in on his 50. One which arrived off his 54th delivery, and that after he'd latterly slowed down a bit. He'd struck 7 4s and 1 6 as he guided his side past 200 for their first bonus point of the match. Leicestershire needed him out. Solanki's 50 arrived in the next over with a 3 off Ben Rain, which took the former Worcestershire player to his half-century off a more patient 112 deliveries from which he'd struck 8 4s. It was the 129th time in his first-class career that Solanki had got at least this far, and his partnership with Roy moved on to 77. It was, though, one that was dominated by Roy. Solanki probably surprised himself by getting out, as Taylor got one through to bowl the batsman on 54. But with Roy still going well, Surrey went to the tea break on 233 for 5, a place that both sides would have been relatively happy with. Roy tucked into his sandwiches, knowing that he needed only 26 more runs for his second Championship 100 of the season. But a rush of blood saw him get out on the restart. He was stumped on the charge for 76 off the bowling of Naik, who then delivered one of the worst balls of the season. Leicestershire would have been well pleased when Charlie Shrek then had Gareth Batty taken behind, a wicket which left the game well balanced with Surrey on 243 for 7. That brought in Chris Tremlett, who soon struck one of the easiest looking maximums you're ever likely to witness. It was his partnership for the 8th wicket with Wilson which rather ruined what had been an excellent performance for much of the day from the visitors. Batty had fallen with another 22 overs left in the day, and that was time enough for Leicestershire to finish their host's innings off. Instead, it was Surrey who finished strongly, with these two batsmen adding an untroubled 82 runs for the 8th wicket, in spite of having to deal with a second new ball. Wilson was watchful away from playing these shots, while his tall partner batted as well as he has done for some time. He's a man with only 8 half-centuries to his name from 175 first-class innings. He may well be able to add to that on the second morning, while his personal best of 64 could even be beaten. Tremlett needs a further 21 runs to better that, as he and Wilson will both resume their innings on 44, having taken their side to a score of 325 for 7. Leicestershire will want to finish this innings off speedily on day 2.